Tim, can you please talk a little bit to us about the meeting last night in regard to the channel coming broke into the Brisbane water?
Yeah, the meeting last night was a good step to push towards a bit of dredging that is quite vital and necessary to open up this waterway in Brisbane water. It's only vital to not only commercial but also the recreational boaters around the area. Without access to and from the channel, it also comes into the case of the emergency evacuations where people, say for example for a fire, won't be able to get out. So unless you've got a really small boat, that's not a problem, but anything bigger with a draft of 1 metre or more, or maybe even less, it's just not going to happen.
Tim, sometimes your vessels in your company go out and go over to the Hawkesbury River. How difficult is that now for you guys to navigate successfully and safely across that area?
It's quite difficult, especially heading out of the channel, so you have to be on the wrong side of the channel and hug the shoreline, which part of the collision regulations in a narrow channel you're supposed to stay to the starboard side of the channel. So we're crossing over to the wrong side of the channel and almost the top of the rocks to get to the deepest part of the channel. And it's only maybe 5-6 metres wide there at the deepest part, and even then on a low tide we still can't get through. There's been instances in the past where we've gone out to do a history cruise, and for some reason a bit of a swell would have been picked up with a low tide, and we've had to keep the vessels at Brooklyn also, so it's impacting our business in quite a lot.
Of course, we have other commercial ferries that use that entrance to come into the into Brisbane water, and it's also affected their business a lot as well. What do you know about that?
Well, not only us starting to think about cancelling our cruises and whatnot, because we can't get out. Palm Beach Ferries have also cancelled their cruise and they're going to Patonga, and they're kicking up a bit of an uproar from the local residents over there. So it's impacting their business, which is also impacting a lot of people around Wagstaff, Ettalong, the whole tourist industry around that side. The Lady Kendall aren't running any cruises out that way as well, and he's been running for over 30 years, so it shows you how dangerous it is there. If you do get stuck there and there's a swell coming through, you can end up on the rocks, and that's going to end up into a potential loss of life, which just can't happen.
Now also I lost my train of thought just then. Let me just think what I was going to say. Oh God, I had a good question then too. Okay. Now, with the meeting last night, there was a lot of discussion on who is responsible, or what people believe should be responsible for the financial and upkeep of the channel to keep it open. Some are saying it's the council responsibility, others saying it's the state government responsibility. What are your thoughts?
Well, there is talk about legislation and whatnot of whose responsibility is. Regardless of whose responsibility is, it has to be done. In the past, the council have done the 50-50 funding, and there's no reason they should be able to do something like that now. Where it's open, the state government's offering it, it has to be done. Even if it's a band-aid fix just to get us through, open up the channel for anyone that wants to get through the channel. And then if they don't want to pay for it in the future, we can look at changing legislation for the New South Wales government. It's pretty vital.
What if there was a major bushfire like there has had in the past, and I know that on one occasion, we are still rolling by the way, yep. On one occasion there was quite a large evacuation, yep, of residents from the area. What do you know about that story?
It would have been in the early 90s. There was a large fire, and there's a large evacuation of residents out of the coast, and that was, I don't know what date it was, but we had a commercial fishing boat. It carried up to about 15 or 16 people, and we tried to evacuate as many people as we could out of that time. Palm Beach Ferries at that time, they had a vessel doing some evacuations. Lady Kendall was also part of that. Jet cats from Sydney come up, which they wouldn't be able to get into the channel anymore, let alone us getting out. And our smallest vessel is the 12-metre catamaran, and we still can't get through there. So the smallest vessel, the commercial vessel in Brisbane water, can't get in and out. What does that tell you about a large-scale evacuation with trying to get residents either in or out of the coast? It just won't happen.
And at that time, that evacuation could only be carried out by water. There was no other way at that point in time to get the residents out of the area in the numbers that needed to happen, and then the time frame needed to happen as well.
That's right. With the large, the Boodai National Park and Ku-ring-gai National Park that surrounds the waterways here, with that being on fire, it closes off any road access and rail access, which only leads to water access. And as I said, if you can't get the vessels in or out, then it's just not going to happen. And that's just going to lead to potential loss of life.